Straight Talk with your host Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, alright here. Oh, Simply Straight Talk.
Hey, Simply Straight Talk family, this is your girl Amber, and welcome to the first episode of Season 2. Today on Simply Straight Talk, Reggie is kicking off the day with a discussion on why men are not getting married. I know everybody has their own views on this topic, so sit back and get your thoughts ready. All right, Reggie, your mic is live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, Simply Straight Talk family. And first off, I want to give a big thank you to Amber for that great introduction. As always, Amber, you are the bomb. Now, as she said, today's topic is going to be why men are not getting married. And this is just one of those topics to where men and women are not fully going to see eye to eye on this. But before we dig deep into this, I want to let you know that I'm going to be mentioning a couple organizations from the men's side and women's side that I'm just going to kind of give you their views, but it's not my views, okay? Now, I agree with some of the things from some of the women's groups. I agree with some of the things from the men's group. But on a whole, I don't agree with everything that either one of these groups are saying. But everybody's entitled to their opinion and their view, and that's the purpose of Simply Straight Talk. We are able to talk about stuff, express our opinions and views, disagree, and still show love to each other. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the show. Now, when we're talking about why men are not getting married, this is a really hot topic, and there's a lot of things going on between men and women right now that's really disheartening to see, because it shouldn't be that we're against each other the way we are. But before we get into this, I want to kind of give you a little background on this organization called Midtown. Now, Midtown is basically men going their own way, okay? And it's basically the statement of self-ownership and saying that only you have the right to decide what your goals in life should be. It is also saying that as a man, you would not surrender your will to the social expectations of women and society, because both have become hostile against masculinity. Now, there are 4 different levels to MGTOW. The first level is the purple pill man. Now, they describe this man as a man that is aware that women use the government, courts, and men's desire to reproduce to take advantage of men. But they believe that the purple pill man believes the risk of a relationship and marriage are worth the potential punishment. This is their wording now. Now, a level 2 MGTOW man believes in dating and short-term relationships, but not marriage, not long-term relationships, or cohabitating with a woman. The level 3 MGTOW man doesn't believe in dating women at all and limits his interaction with women as much as possible. Now, the level 4 description of a MGTOW man is someone who tries to limit his interactions with the state and everyone as much as possible. He is what referred to as ghosting or trying to stay invisible to women and the state. Now, some of that wording is a little bit harsh. I got to be honest with you. It's a little bit harsh. But, you know, I kind of get what they're saying, but some of that can apply to men and women. But I think the goal is to figure out how can you make that so there's an understanding between men and women that both of you have the right to determine what your future is going to be, what your goals are going to be. But why can't it be that the two people work together to actually try to figure out how to make it where you support each other and you want to see the best in each other when it comes to accomplishing your goals? Now, you heard the word purple pill, and really that is a statement that was sort of picked up from the movie The Matrix. You remember when Morpheus offered Neo the purple pill or the blue pill. And, you know, one pill, you stayed in the dream world, and the other pill, well, probably the red was the red and blue. I think it was red and blue. But anyway, if you've seen The Matrix, you know what I'm talking about when Morpheus offered the 2 pills. One pill, you actually stayed in the dream fantasy world, and the other pill, you became awake to what was really going on in the world around you. So that's sort of where they borrowed that from. And I guess this, what they're considering to be a movement, is sort of the counter to what is the long-standing feminist movement. Now, the feminist movement pretty much had the same thing. They were saying the same thing, that a woman had the right to decide, what her goals was going to be, how she was going to live her life. So it's pretty much the same thing from that respect. But I think the feminist movement initially was just trying to say, hey, we deserve equal rights. We can do the same thing. We deserve the same opportunities. Now, this is my opinion. I think from where the feminist movement started with just saying, look, we should have the chance to be able to compete for jobs and do the jobs that men do. We feel that we can be lawyers. We can be dump truck drivers. We can be truck drivers. We can be, construction workers, engineers, politicians. We can do all the things that you can do. Give us a shot. We should not be, discriminated because we're women, because we're women. So, but I think at some point, the feminist movement, now this is my opinion now, just my opinion. I feel like the feminist movement sort of moved more in the direction of, I don't need a man. I can be a CEO. I can have kids by myself. I can get my own education. I can buy my own stuff. So now you're seeing a situation to where you have women who are saying, I don't need a man to have a family. I don't need a man to raise my kids. I don't need a man to help me live my life. And you have to realize that men have always been brought up to where they have been told, listen, you're a man. You're supposed to be a provider. You're supposed to help take care of your family. You're supposed to be there for your family. You're supposed to be the one to make sure that your wife is taken care of. But now we're in a position to where women are saying, I don't need a man to take care of me. I don't need a man to be there. And I think it's just like the gun laws, which is kind of crazy comparison. But you know how before, when there were guns, it was pretty much handguns, and guns were not shooting 30, 40 bullets a minute back like 70 years ago. Nowadays, guns are shooting a lot more bullets. We got the assault rifles. And I think the gun laws never evolved to catch up with the times and the technology of the guns. And it's the same thing with relationships and marriage. I don't think the mentality of men and women adjusted as men and women were sort of coming along and things were sort of changing. Women were integrating more into the job market. They was integrating more into leadership roles. And as some men begin to fall back, I think women felt more empowered. Men felt less empowered. So it sort of kept everything off kilter to where the two, instead of being able to say, listen, we can still do this together. Regardless if I'm making 100,000 and you're making 70,000, we're still one family. It's still one household. We can still do it together. But I think it just stayed off kilter. It never got to the point to where men and women became balanced. And that was just threw everything off. Now, not only that, you got your two organizations, the Midtown, you got your feminist movement. A lot of men are looking at the fact of they're seeing, like a lot of younger men are seeing the older men, maybe their fathers, what they went through when they went through a divorce, and there are a lot of men right now who are actually good men. I'm talking about good men who wanted a relationship. They wanted the marriage. They wanted to, be a good provider. They loved their kids. But when they went to divorce, they lost their kids. You got some fathers who are really good fathers. Divorce can be so nasty at times that two people can do more damage to having an actual cordial interactions as still raising the kids, to where it becomes nothing but anger and bitterness. And, everybody knows this. Most courts are going to award the children to the mother, regardless of anything. They're going to award the kids to the mother. And for the father to get the kids, it takes an act of God to have the courts give the kids to the father. And it's difficult because you've got a father who loves his kids, but a mother who doesn't love her kids, doesn't really care. The courts don't see that. They just see the mother. She goes in court, she cries, she gets the kids. Now, I'm not saying that they're not bad fathers. I'm not saying they're not bad mothers. There's bad people on both sides. But I just think that, what I'm really saying, I guess because I was kind of all over the place. What I'm saying is, a lot of men have seen what other men have went through the court systems, paying this child support, being taken to jail. You lose your job because you went to jail. You try to find another job. I got one friend. He has a job. He's paying his child support. He got behind. So he got another job to kind of help him out. But they start taking child support from that job. He had 3 jobs and they were taking child support from all 3 jobs. So he could not make it. There was no way for him to actually survive like that. Because if you're making $11 an hour and they're taking a huge chunk of your money, it hurts. It hurts because there's no balance in there. And then you have the whole situation to where some women are taking child support. The money doesn't really go to the kids. It goes to the mother. She's doing whatever with the money. The kids are getting maybe 10% of the money. And then when you hear about the celebrities who are going through divorces, oh my God. When you hear about a celebrity guy who's paying who had to give up 200 million, 400 million. I mean, these celebrities are paying like $30,000, $40,000 a month in child support. That is a job. That's what some people make in a year. But, that stuff like that is really deterring men to the point to where they're saying, listen, if I get married, I'm going to have to give up my house, my car. I'm going to have to lose half my income if this thing doesn't work out. Is it really worth that? Is it really worth it? I don't think it's the fact that men do not want to have families. Men do not want to be married. They do not want to have kids. I think the fact that now men are looking at relationships and saying, you know what? It is such a big risk for me to get married, and the risk of me having to lose half my income, and just I'm giving up so much, and there's no protection from me. There's no protection for me if we go to the court system. Even if I am a good father, she's now going to have to pay the amount of child support that I would have to pay. So, it's tough. It is a tough pill to swallow. Now, the other thing that might be affecting why men are not getting married, and this is sort of for the women's side. Now, I'm not slandering women. Please do not take that. This is by no means me taking shots at women. Is sometimes they're just unrealistic expectations. Because you can have a guy who says, yes, I want to get married. Yes, I want to have a family. And he wants to meet this woman. But the problem is, yes, he's a good guy. He has a good job. But she doesn't date short guys. She wants a guy who's 6'2", 6'3". He may be 5'9", 5'8". She doesn't want that. He could be a really good guy, willing to take care of her, truly love her, but he might have a little belly. She wants the whole Vin Diesel rock type physique. And she's not looking at what the person really is, who he really is as a person, and what he's really bringing to the table. I understand you have to have some level of attractiveness to a person to be with them. But sometimes, have you ever considered that maybe, and this goes for men too, maybe you're missing out on a good person because you've decided that, you're going to let a physical characteristic take away from somebody who could be the greatest thing that ever happened to you. But there are a lot of reasons to why people have the mentality they do. Now, like I said, I'm not doing this to slam women. I am not trying to belittle women. I'm just trying to give you reasons as to why men are feeling more and more like, wow, it's not worth getting married. I don't want to get involved in this. Like I said, some men, they don't want to deal with the hassles of losing their income. They don't want to deal with the fact of they might have their own home and their own cars. And they might be well off. And they may say, hey, if I get married and this don't work, like I said before, she's going to take half and there's nothing I can do about it. And then I still got to pay her on top of that. So, that's tough. That's tough. A man feel like they're getting a bad deal when it comes to marriage, especially if it doesn't work out. And don't get me wrong, I think marriage can be a wonderful thing. I think marriage is a great thing, but it's got to be with the right person and you got to have the right mentality. So as far as men not getting married, you got to agree to an extent that it looks like men are just not getting a good deal. It's like younger men especially, like I said, they're seeing what has happened to their fathers. They're seeing what has happened to the older generation. They're seeing a world now that is belittling any type of masculinity. Is like they don't want to see it. You can't have it in movies. You can't have it in the home. You can't have it on stage. So for this reason, you're going to have it to where you're going to have people that just really feel like they don't want to get married. All right, guys, we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break and stay tuned and keep it right here on Simply Straight Talk.
Don't even think about it. We got more straight talk just for you.
Hey, are you looking for some great music, upbeat and with a positive voice? Well, the song I Stand With You is exactly what you need. This timeless song has a pop version sung by Audrey Carmel. And a reggae version sung by General Steele, now known as Revelation.
Now I know some days you may feel blue, Lord. Trust in your greatness to see you through.
These songs are now available on iTunes and other digital platforms for download. Don't miss out. Get your copy today.
Give life your best, and I know.
We're back with the conversation starter and the voice that works harder. Your host, Reggie.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second half of the show. We are right here on Simply Straight Talk. Now, in the first part of the show, we talked about the topic of why men are not getting married. And some of the things we went over was the organization that's now growing called Midtown, which is men going their own way. And we talked about the different levels of a MGTOW man. We talked about divorce and men feeling they have no rights in the courts and how costly it is for men if they do go through a divorce. We talked about unrealistic expectations, that maybe men and women have going into marriage and men and women have about each other. And then we also talked about the feminist movement, of where it was an idea of what the feminist movement was supposed to accomplish when it was originated versus how feminism is seen now. Meaning you have a lot of women saying, I don't need a man to have a kid. I don't need a man to raise children. I don't need a man to buy my own stuff. I can buy my own house, and that whole independent woman mentality. But in this part of the show, I want to talk about how can we fix it? How can we make it better? What is it going to take to change the whole perspective of marriage and to have men and women see marriage as something that can be beneficial, something that can be a blessing, and something that can really show that marriage is love. Now, when you think about marriage back in the 50s and 60s, you used to watch it on the TV shows and all that. It was one of the things in life was for a man or woman to find the right woman, have a house, and have a family. For a man, that was masculinity, to be, a proud father, a proud husband. And for a woman, to be able to be a good woman, a responsible woman. She was a proud mother, a caring, loving mother. But for some reason, things have changed. So how do we fix it? How do we get back to the point to where a man saying that I'm a husband and a father is a good thing, and a woman saying that I'm a mother and I'm a wife, and that's a good thing? Because right now, everybody seems to be honest, really selfish. There seems to be a really selfish mentality going around when it comes to marriage. It does. There's a real selfish mentality, and I do understand the whole thing. As a man, I totally get it. I'm a man. I've been divorced. I'll be honest. I've been divorced more than once. So, my first marriage, man, was really, it cost me a lot. I'm still paying for that. And you're talking about something that was 22 years ago. So it's costly. And I do get that from the male standpoint, man. When you go through a divorce, you will get raked over the coals. But part of that is just finding the right person, as we said earlier. The other thing is we got to find a way to balance the legal side of things when it comes to a divorce. We can't always assume that the woman is the one that's right. The woman is the one that is the victim in the whole thing, because men cheat, women cheat. Women start fights, men start fights. So there has to be some balance in there to make the legal rights fair for both sides. So you can't just automatically assume that the woman is the victim in every divorce case. Also, we can't start putting each other down. If you're a woman that's making more than your man, as long as he's a good husband and he's working and he's trying, I'm talking about a good man now, you got to recognize the fact that you can't have this whole, I run it. He's weak. He's not masculine. He's not a man. It's just that his career may not be advancing to where yours is. But is he a man that's worth getting rid of? Is he a man worth dogging out in front of your friends or making them feel less masculine? And it's the same thing. You may have a man that owns his home business, but you may be a woman that have a doctorate's degree. Is it right for you to make him feel like he's not educated? But his business could be very successful. But because he doesn't have your education, are you going to downgrade him or, treat him differently around your friends? And it goes for the same thing for men. If you're making more money, it doesn't mean that you own that woman or you tell her what to do. It means that you're bringing one household together with whatever resources you have to make it work. And the same thing with men. You don't make your woman feel bad. You don't make her feel like she's less than if you got more education. You stand by her. You stand by each other. So we got to figure out a way to do that, to where men and women can accept the fact that one person may be slightly ahead of them in one area, but without feeling like they're less than, without making them feel like they don't compare to you really, only in private, but not in public. Another thing we need to start looking at is these movements. We talked about #MeToo. We talked about Midtown. We talked about feminism. One thing I noticed about these movements is that anytime there is a male or female, anytime there's a gender movement, put it like that, when there's a gender movement, it ends up bashing the opposing gender, which I don't understand that. #MeToo is pretty much bashing men. And right now, MGTOW in some way is bashing women. Not everybody associated with MGTOW, but from a lot of the ones I've heard, they are bashing women. So we got to stop giving these negative labels to the opposite sex. Just because you don't feel you're benefiting from a relationship or you've been through some bad experiences, going out there and doing negative labeling, calling women this, calling men that, saying all men are this, all women are that, that's not helping the situation. That's creating more division between the genders. And that's not what you want. That's not what you want. Because the more you create negative labels, the more you're going to create that division to where you're going to have men feeling that, I'm against a woman, and women feeling I'm against the men, because all men feel like women are cheaters and gold diggers, and all women feel like men are weak and punks and they can't do anything, and that's totally not the case. We got to stop with the negative labeling of each other. We got to stop making videos. We got to stop making TVs and commercials that show people as being idiots. Like I just recently went to see the movie Incredibles 2. Now, don't get me wrong. I liked the movie, but one thing I didn't like was the father was made to look pretty much like a moron when it came to raising the kids. It was just like he had no connection with his daughter, didn't know nothing about his children. And it was just kind of like, wow, this man already has 2 kids he's raised with this woman. Now, all of a sudden, he's staying at home with the baby and he has absolutely no clue what to do about anything. And he ends up just taking the baby and dropping her off with somebody else. And I think we have to do better about the way we portray each other. Because there are some really good men. There are some really good women. And trust me, I can tell you from experience, I have been in relationships to where it's been like, oh my God, I just need a break. I'm so tired of dating. And that's why I'm single right now. Because, it is tough dating. It is tough trying to find that right person. But going out and doing the negative thing and degrading the other gender, talking bad about the other gender, that's not going to help. And, one more thing I want to add to this is you got to have realistic expectations about what you're looking for. and be understanding about your expectations. Like, are your expectations too high? So if you're saying that there are no good men, are your expectations too high? What are you looking for? I mean, if you actually sat down and wrote down on two sides what you're looking for in a man, like what you would settle for, what you need in a man, and what you want in a man, because a need and a want is two different things. Because a lot of people say they want a good man, but when they start getting into the physical description, that's where it all just goes away. Because I'll be honest with you, I've never been the most popular person. I've always been that guy in school and in life for women to say like, wow, you would make such a good husband. Oh, you're like such a cool guy. You're so nice. But I'm not the person to be with because I was nice. I didn't have that rough thug image. And I will never have that rough thug image, by the way. So, but the thing is, in order to fix this, we have to find a way that we balance the scales for both sides. And I know that's sort of vague, but truthfully, that's what it's going to take. We got to balance it so men and women both feel like they're getting something out of the situation. And if the situation does fall apart, it has to be a balance to where one person is not getting thrown under the bus and their whole life is affected for 20 years. So that's a big part of what has to take place in order to make it work, in order to make the relationship be at its best and lasting. But the key thing is here, we cannot dog each other out. We cannot take each other and beat each other down, then expect in the next, couple of days or couple of weeks to understand why this person has a negative attitude or negative outlook regards to men or regards to women. So we got to find a way, man, to make it so that everybody understands that marriage is not bad. The only thing bad is what you bring into it. And that's your mentality. That's your expectations. Are they realistic, unrealistic? Are you bringing good, true values because you want to be married? Or are you bringing in the fact that you want to be able to say you're married, but you want that independent lifestyle? I'm just asking the question because somebody got to. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back right here on Simply Straight Talk.
This is Simply Straight Talk with your host, Reggie, bringing the conversation straight to you.
Right, Simply Straight Talk family. We want to return the love you have shown us back to you. Reggie will be giving away great prizes during certain Simply Straight Talk podcast shows, so make sure you subscribe and listen to the show for your chance to win. Just imagine being able to take 4 people to the movies, a free night in a hotel, a gift card with cash for a restaurant, or one of our Simply Straight Talk podcast shirts. There will be other prizes as well. For more information, visit our website at www.rmviaging.com and click on Simply Straight Talk Podcast in the menu.
Are you ready for the straight truth? Reggie, what's the final word for today?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final thoughts of today. And what I want to do right now is I want to start off with first, let me just speak to the women of the Simply Straight Talk family or the women who are just listening to this show. And I just want to say this. As a young male who was raised by a single mother, I want to say that I do appreciate the women out there who are going out and starting their own businesses. They're getting their education. They're getting their degrees. They're in the job market and they're making a big impact. The single mothers out there who are doing it on their own, who would welcome help from the father and want the father to be a part of the child's life. Let me say, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And I know that, single mothers take a beating, especially when it comes to this stupid concept that women with children don't date. It's dumb things like that. But I want to say that I know this show may have seemed like it was a little bit harsh in your direction, but I tried to kind of bring up some of the highlights that, men and women both deserve to be treated fairly. So let me just say that I do appreciate the single mothers. I appreciate the mothers out there who's going after their education, even the single women, like I said, who's out there doing their own thing. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop. But I ask you, please do not fall into the mindset of creating negative labels about other genders, and don't let your courage and confidence be taken away by anybody, whether it's male or female. All right. Now, to the men, as a man, I can speak more to what a lot of men are feeling, but I want you to know that I'm speaking to the real men, the good men. I'm not speaking about these men out here who don't care, who don't want to do anything, who just want to lay around and live off somebody else. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you at all. I'm talking to the real men who are struggling and fighting and doing everything they can to live their life to the best and be a provider and be active in their wives and their family lives. So that's who I'm talking to. You know, I know it's tough, especially for you, for the men who have been through a divorce and you probably still dealing with some issues. I understand that money coming out your check every week is tough, but I'm asking you to hold on. I'm asking you to stay encouraged. And I'm asking you to do the same thing that I'm asking the women to do, which is do not allow yourself to fall into any negative mindset to where you start belittling women and mistreating women. Don't get into that, because that is not what you need to do to prove that you're a man. Masculinity is still alive. And I know it is not depicted very well on television. It's not depicted very well by the media at all. But there is nothing wrong with being a masculine man. There's nothing wrong with being proud. There's nothing wrong with being a man who appreciates the arts. But being a masculine man is something to be proud of. And part of masculinity is having a mature mindset. Part of masculinity is being responsible, being accountable. So I want you guys to do the same thing. And I want men and women to, any way possible, try to work towards realizing that no house is a home if the man and woman is not there and they're not working it together. We have got to get rid of this mindset that men and women don't need each other. Because the truth is, men can't have babies. We can adopt babies, but we can't have babies. Now, women, you can have babies. You can go out and get artificial insemination and you can adopt a child. But you know what? That is by no means the same thing as having a man and a woman into a household and raising a child together and doing it together with love. So that's what it's going to take, is that the fact that you have to be willing to do what's necessary to make sure that you feel proud that you're a woman, you feel proud that you're a man, and the fact that you love each other and you love a man for being a man and a woman for being a woman, and you respect each other. Now, as for men not wanting to get married, that is completely their option. But men, if we're deciding we don't want to get married, let's just say we don't want to get married, and let's not berate women. Let's not degrade women to do that. And I'm asking women, whether you're a feminist or whatever, don't berate men. You know, just be who you are and live your life.
Thank you for tuning in to today's show. Be sure to subscribe for more motivational topics based on real-life conversations, and don't forget to rate, review, and share our show so we can continue to bring you the best in real-life conversations. Join us next week right here on Simply Straight Talk.
Simply Straight Talk with your host Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, all right here. Oh, Simply Straight Talk.